because I know we've got a slightly short amount of time today, haven't we?
Yes, we may be joined by Louis otherwise. So unless you want to go too.
I do want to see Louis.
Yeah, he's football coaching at the moment, which is why I'm sat in the car. So yeah, it's all good.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, and hi Jane, nice to see you. So yes, we've got the lovely Vicky in, and I appreciate you joining us so much, Vicky, because I know that you've had like back-to-back days of helping other people in a different sort of training capacity. So thank you. It is hugely appreciated. But you're just too brilliant. You know, I couldn't wait too long for having you in. And also, I think we're at that point with the various businesses where we probably need to look at that little bit of upscaling and making things a bit smoother. So I set everybody a little bit of a task to look at their onboarding.
Brilliant.
So in section 1, kind of the build up to getting somebody on a call, and then afterwards, if somebody signs up, what that looks like as well.
That looks like too.
All right. So I'll unmute. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to put a little slide up. Some of this won't be relevant tonight then. If we're going to look at onboarding and kind of call scheduling and that kind of thing, there's lots of other things, but this will just give you a kind of idea of the different kind of things that you can think about when you look at your customer journey. So if I can just share, find the right screen, and then please do let me know if you can see it. If it's too small, I can make it bigger. Is everybody okay with the size? Fab. Okay, so these are the 20 areas that I look at when I'm looking at building or streamlining a business. And so what we're going to look at tonight really is going to be that kind of onboarding. So it's the sales and onboarding. Sales for me has been a call. So it's being able to have somebody book a call with you, have that call sequence so that they know they've booked the call, it's in their calendar, you can remind them to be there so that you reduce those no-shows, and you have that kind of that call, so the sales call. And then what happens if they say yes? And also importantly, what happens if they say no? So if we have a look at the call scheduling side first. So for me, when you're looking at calls, you need to be looking at something like Calendly. So Calendly is the kind of industry standard. There are other ones out there, but it is probably the best. So having a Calendly that will know what availability you've got in your calendar so that the person booking the call is able to book at the right times, and it's not going to drop into your calendar in some random time that you're going to be on school run or something else is going on that, you know, is not going to be convenient. So it's making sure you have the right times in your calendar for calls, that you have a good buffer on both sides. So make sure you've got a little bit of space on both sides of that call booking, because what you don't want is them booking back to back or really close to each other, because it's guaranteed if you're on a really great sales call, there's a very good chance it's going to overrun. And what you don't want to be doing is ushering that person off the call because you've got another one booked back to back straight after. So it's about thinking about how long does that call need to be? How much time and space do you need between it for either preparing for the next call or just buffering for that potential that it might roll over? And then also another thing to think about with call bookings is your questions. Some questions before they get on the call with you, so that you've got a little bit of information about them before you start. So dress as standard, but I'll also ask them about what they do. And mine has a list of the things that I do for people, and it's a checklist so they can tick the ones that they're interested in. And I can ask them if they're interested in, I do done for you. So a lot of my work is I will figure out what they need and then I will implement it for them. But I do have like a per hour thing, so they could potentially work with me and they could learn how to do it themselves. So I do ask them whether it's a done for you or they want someone to teach them how, just so that I can go into that sales call in the kind of right frame of mind. I know if they're likely to want my big package or some per hours. I know what it is that they do. I understand what it is that they're particularly interested in out of the things that I do, and it just helps you be a little bit more focused when you go in. So pre-qualifying questions, we call them, are really important, and Calendly will allow you to do that. I know Rebecca said about potentially getting that up on screen and showing you how to do that if that's something that you want to do. So those are the kind of pre-sales things you need to be thinking about, booking those calls in. And then what you then need to think about, you get them on a call, which is great, brilliant. What happens if they say yes? So when you start designing those kind of welcome sequences, your onboarding sequences, have a think about, if they were to say yes on the call, what do you need to happen? So in kind of what order do you need things to happen? So for me, as soon as they say yes, I want to send them an email to say thank you. It was great to have a conversation with you. Sorry, lights have gone out. It was great to have a conversation with you. Here are our next steps. So there's a link for them to book their kickoff call with me. There's my payment links in there, and they can choose to pay in full or in 3. And it's just a kind of, this is all we need to get started. Email goes out immediately that they say yes. So by the time they get off the call, it's sat in their inbox waiting for them. So these emails you'll be putting together, but you'll be putting them together probably as soon as you get off the call. And what you need to think about is, what if somebody says yes and instantly after that call you've got somewhere to be, you need to go on the school run, you need to go and pick somebody up, there's something you need to do, you've got another call, that will then live in your head until you find time to get that done. So what you want to do is try and make this as easy as possible for you, but also as slick as possible for the client. How great would it be if the client gets off the call and that welcome email is already there, their next steps are already there, they know what's coming next. So what I suggest to you is you kind of map out, what do they need to know? So what's the next thing that they need to do? What's the next thing that you're going to do for them? And create that welcome email. And contracts, do you have contracts drawn up? How are you sending those contracts? How are you getting those contracts signed? Are you invoicing them? Do you invoice them up front? Do you invoice them after? So if you can map out those things you need to do, that's when you can work out how you can make that as streamlined as possible, and how you can put templates together, how you can make sure that all of your onboarding documents are in one file, so that you're not then searching around for different things. Or if you're going to go one step further and start automating things, then you definitely need to have things kind of in line, and you know exactly what needs to go out and when it needs to go out. So it's really important to kind of plan that out so that you know what needs to happen and when. So those are the kind of sales and onboarding things to think about. So if anybody has any questions, please further them my way and I will help as much as possible.
Can I ask a question, please?
You may.
When you're talking about all the automation, would that go through Calendly or something else?
For the call bookings?
No, when you're talking about the emails for the next steps and payment links and things like that, would that be then automated in another system through your email system?
Another system, depending on what systems you're using. So some people will go down, they will have Calendly for their call bookings, then they might have a program such as eSignatures.io or DocuSign for their contracts. The email you may send directly from your email inbox, but what's important is, if possible, you can put together email templates, so you could map that out as much as possible, have your documents ready so that as soon as you get off that call you can send that email. If you have a system, so there are systems out there that you can use that will do a lot of what you see on the screen now, can all be done within one system. And what you can do then is you can plan those out, so when a client says yes, you can start off an automated sequence, and that would have your welcome email in there, your contracts would be created for you. But it depends whether or not you want to go to a fully automated system, or whether you're looking to have lots of different tools that make each stage easier, but you still have slight manual touch points as you move through them. So Calendly is one. Calendly will do your call booking, it will book your call, it will put it in your calendar, it will put it in their calendar. It will send automated reminders to help them to show up. You can send them on to, so when they book a call, you can direct them to a page on your website, and that can then have testimonials on there, or a little video that goes on what you do. So you can almost have a little step in between them booking a call and having a meeting with you that kind of gives them a little bit more information. So Calendly would do that step, but when it comes to your onboarding, that would be done in, you would have email templates, and you would make sure that all your contracts were in a certain place. So have all your onboarding things together so that they're very quick and easy to find, that they're 99% written, so that you've only got a very quickly do the last tweaks. And I always say, look at your onboarding and make it as generic as possible. I know we all love to put personalization into things, but the more generic you can make it, the much easier, the busier and busier you get, the much easier it's going to be to get that done properly, quickly, without having to spend half an hour every time you have a conversation with somebody pulling everything together. There are out there that would do everything if that was what you needed to do.
So what kind of price point? Because I know for Calendly to have the automation for reminders and things, you have to pay extra for.
So yeah, Calendly's paid amount, I think it's £10 or £11 these days. There's a system that we use within the business group that I'm in, the one that I teach mainly, it's a system called Moxie. So it's createwithmoxie.com or create.withmoxie.com. And Moxie will do 99% of what you see on the screen now in one place. It's very affordable at $25 a month. So it's not a expensive package, and you wouldn't need Calendly because Moxie has a exact Calendly replica. But what that does is the call booking system and the invoicing and the contracts and your project management and your document signing is all in one place.
Okay.
Which then means that you can start to pull together little sequences because everything is in the same place, and therefore you can create email templates that have links to everything you need because it's all in-house in one place.
Okay, thank
and
you.
That would be what I would recommend for 99% of small businesses.
Okay. Yeah, because it's quite nerve-wracking, all these extra things that you see. It's £10 here a month, it's £20 there a month, and before you know it, you're paying out £100 a month and you haven't even brought in a client. So you're still at that stage. So
it's Moxie, so it's Moxie, and I'm pretty sure because there's a film something or other called Moxie, so it's create.withmoxie.com, and it's specifically built for freelancers, but it is still good. I have a couple of agencies I work with that have over 10 members of staff that use it, so it is still good for teams. If you don't necessarily need, so there's a starter package which is $12 a month, and the only thing that doesn't have is the workflow automations. So the little automations might be something like when a client says yes, you move them into onboarding. So you have a pipeline with the different stages of business. So you would literally drag and drop them a bit like a Trello board into onboarding, and that would kick off your onboarding sequence, which might be send an email, prepare a contract, send them a form to fill in for onboarding, and it would all be done in an automation. So if you want the automations as well, which I recommend, it's the $25 a month package that you would need, and that does everything. So that's all of their functions. Yes, Beth, it's got the CRM as well, so it's a full CRM, full pipeline. So you can do your lead management, you can track leads, you can give yourself follow-up dates, you can put all of your sales information in there. It's got the call booking, it's got contracts and invoices, it's got a project management, it's got a client portal. So it's pretty much got everything you could possibly want from the back end of your business. The only thing it doesn't do is marketing from an email point of view. So not your big list newsletter style marketing. And a CRM, I think somebody popped a question. CRM is customer relationship management, but it's just a fancy way of saying where you store all your client details. So it would be not necessarily just your client details, but prospects. So with Moxie in particular, your CRM is populated. So when somebody books a call with you, they're automatically added to your CRM, to your client area, as a prospect. So that when you have that call with them, if they say yes, you can then mark them as a client, and that starts that journey. But if they say no, you could put them into your pipeline as a prospect, and not now, a follow-up, and you could give yourself a follow-up date. I use Fathom. I know Rebecca uses Fathom as well. Fathom is a great video recording tool. You can use the free one. You don't need any more than the free version. And then at the end of the call, you can get a call summary. And what I do is I copy and paste that summary into my client notes, so that if they say no, pop a follow-up date of 2 weeks, a month or something on there. When I go back to that client, I know exactly what's been said. And if I can't remember the whole conversation, I've got a link to that video if I need it. And it just helps you to keep everything in one place. You know, the last thing you want is to go, right, I've got an afternoon free, I'm going to follow up with some clients, and you can't remember who you spoke to, and you're not sure what their email address is, you can't quite remember what you spoke about. But if you've got a CRM, you can keep all that together. And then once they become a client, then you have all their client details, their address details, all of your conversation information's in there. And that's just kind of then the start of the journey within Moxie for everything that can be done. Any more questions?
Thank you, Victoria.
That's no problem.
I had a little question about that Moxie thing.
Yeah.
By any chance, does it happen to have forms on it?
Yes. Yeah.
Because at the moment I use Jotform, but if it's got that on there, then I don't have to.
Totally replaces that. And also, if a client fills in a form, so if an email address on the top of the form matches a client or a prospect in your CRM, it will attach the details together.
Oh, okay. So I could use that, because at the moment I use Jotform as kind of feedback, and then like to collect feedback and testimonials. So I could do that through that.
Yep. So the forms are brilliant for things like your pre-qualifying questions, onboarding information where you maybe can collect names, addresses, telephone numbers, etc., and will then link and sit with against the client. So you have that information there. You can also then use the information from the forms to pull into things like contracts. So you haven't got to put the same information in two places. They're fully customizable, so it's a drag and drop situation. You create your forms by dragging and dropping, and they have like multiple choice or check boxes or drop downs, short text and long text areas. You can make it look pretty with logos and images. It has formatting like 1 column, 2 columns, page breaks. You know, you can have it, you know, with like the jot form and type forms, you can sometimes have a question on a page and you next to the next one. You can have it in that format, or you can have it in a long format. They just keep going down the page.
Amazing.
And it's a web-based, so you have a link for it. So you just send people the link, they fill it in online, and then it automatically feeds back into Moxie.
Amazing. So that's really good, because I don't have like a newsletter type thing, and I don't think for my stuff, I don't know that there's much point in me having a newsletter. So just having that would mean that then I don't have to use MailerLite, which I can't work out.
Yeah, definitely. It's it will do everything that, other than the only thing it wouldn't do, the forms in Moxie versus some of the bigger companies, is like scoring. So, you know, some people use it for like surveys and questionnaires and being able to score and give points, so that you can kind of go, if they get 10 points, they go here. It won't do that kind of thing. It is very much a form, collect information, and then it will house that information within that particular client, so it's really easy to find.
Cool. Thank you very much.
No problem. Any more?
Yeah, I'm just getting obsessed with Moxie.
Moxie is like, it's the one thing. There aren't many things that I go, it's that one, that's the one. There are other tools like this, but they don't do everything that Moxie does. I think Moxie's biggest downside is it's functional over pretty.
Right.
But it doesn't need to be pretty, because 95% of it is for you, not for the client, and the client facing side is pretty enough. So it's not fancy pants, you know, but you can put your branding in there, you can put your logos in there, you can put your colors in there, so you can make it your own without it being overly fancy or difficult to use, because it's all about pretty over function. It's really functional. The support is great, either by email or they have an online chat. They're able to, if you had a real problem, they're able to remote access your account and fix it for you. And they're just, the support is really good.
So it also says there's a client portal. So at the moment I house my client dashboards in Notion.
Yep.
But I could move those over by the sounds of it as well. Yeah.
It is basic, but Notion isn't overly fancy anyway. So you can create custom pages in there, so you can have custom areas. But majority it is for, you know, they'll be able to see their forms in there, they'll be able to see their contracts. It has what they call tickets, which makes me think of old school e-commerce. You know, if you've got a problem, you'd fill in a ticket and customer service would get back to you. But that's really good for talking with your clients, because you can add documents and attachments, and you can have a conversation on a particular point backwards and forwards. If you do any kind of project management where you need client approval, it has that functionality built in. So clients are able to see projects, they're able to see tasks, and they're able to approve. So you can kind of have that backwards and forwards on a project without necessarily needing to send them it all by email and so on. You can do it within the system.
Amazing. Amazing. Right, some homework. Thank you.
No problem.
Can I jump in on Moxie questions?
You can.
Regarding the payments, like
Yeah.
if you want to link that up,
Yeah.
so we use Xero and go cardless.
Yeah.
My system at the moment is people will scan and they'll sign up through Go Cardless that then feeds into Xero. Can it work in a similar way?
It can. Now there's two things with Moxie will do everything from a finance point of view. So Moxie can do invoicing, it can do deposits, it can do recurring invoices. So you can set up, for example, if you had a client on 6 monthly payments of £500, you could set it up that they get an invoice on the first day of every month and it will go out automatically. It will do late reminders. So if somebody doesn't pay in 3 days, you can send a reminder. If they don't pay in 10 days, you can add a late fee. All of that stuff can be built in. It will track all of your finances. You can put your expenses in there for full cash flow. But what I don't suggest people is move everything to Moxie if you've already got that house somewhere else, because Moxie is not a accountancy recognised place to do your taxes. It does link to QuickBooks and to Xero. So you could create invoices in Moxie and then send the details to Xero so that you have them for your accounts. But what I do say to most of my clients, if they have a payment system set up and it works, don't change it, because you can still do everything you need to do within Moxie. You can send your welcome emails with your payment links in. You can ask them to pay in the way that they pay now without Moxie being affected. You don't have to have your payment stuff in there for everything else to work.
Cool. And actually, I love what you said about the tickets, because that's been something I've been thinking about. I know it is old school, but it's like that really would be helpful, because we get a lot of requests coming in by email. So that sounds very interesting.
And it keeps it all together. So if you were to go into a client, a particular client, it will give you all of your tickets in one place. You could go to tickets and everything would be in there in chronological order. But not only that, it has a centric email, so that if an email address is in your CRM, any emails from your connected email account will pull through to that central inbox, so that you have all your client inbox or emails in one place. But if you go into the client, all of your emails are there in like time order, so that you can click on a client and find their last email really quickly. So it means that you don't have to then go to your inbox, search your client, scroll through and find what you're looking for. Everything is kind of pulled into your client area for you.
Very clever. I should have written this as like Moxie evening. Never heard of it.
I know. I could have thought about that really, shouldn't I? I should have just done a Moxie demonstration. Maybe next time I'll come on and just do you a full Moxie demonstration.
I think Jess has got some questions. Do you want to jump in, Jess?
Yeah, hi. This is interesting. I can't even remember what my first question was. Oh yeah, so when you were talking about the forms, so I used to use Dropform, and I'm trying to keep everything in one place. So then I went to Google Forms.
Yeah.
I don't really know why, but my email is a Google email. But Google, so before Christmas I sent out like a form, and then everybody who filled it in, it collated the data and it kind of told me, you know, the average or what a theme was. What is on the multiple choice questions. Does it do that?
I don't think it does, because it attaches the form to the client. You can see all of your answers in one place, but I don't think there's a way of being able to then potentially take one question from all of those forms and ask it to give you kind of, I know what you mean about Google Forms, like it can collate everything into a spreadsheet, can't it? And then you can kind of look through the data in a different way. You can see it all in one place, but I don't think it has that functionality to kind of, you know, pick out and say that answer B was 60% of all the answers kind of affair.
Okay, thank you. And the other question, so when you were talking about like the client portal and people, would they message on here instead of, so what does it look like for them? Do they have an app, or how do they log in? And would you encourage them to use that over email, like contact me on this, not email?
It depends how you want to work. So if they contact you by email, Moxie will pull that email through into their area anyway, so it will be there.
So does it link to your emails then?
Yes, that's it. So you link it to your email and your calendar, which is how your kind of scheduler works, linked to your calendar. And so if your client's email address is in your Moxie system, any emails from that email address in your inbox will get pulled in to your Moxie. So you can have them still email you and it will be easy to find, but you could also use the ticket system if that works better for you, and just say any queries you've got, pop them in here, and they can either stay on a thread or they can raise a new ticket. You then get a notification to say that there's a ticket or a reply to a ticket, and so will they. And the way that the portal works for them is it's a web-based portal, and they can either have a login or they can have a magic link. So if they want to log in, they would just go to their portal and they could get a magic link sent to their email if they don't want to have a login and a password. So it's web-based as opposed to being an app that they need to have.
So they don't need an account, an email password. It can go to their email.
You can literally send it to them, and when they click on it, they can ask for a magic link. And as long as their email, so you've given them access, as in you give their email address access within Moxie, that will then send them a magic link, so they can just click and they're in.
It takes them through to the page when it looks like them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
And you can customize what that looks like for them. So like I said, it's functional over pretty. There's not a lot of customization you can do other than colors, but you can make it look on brand. You know, it's a good setup anyway. It doesn't need to be fluffy, but there's very minimal what you can kind of customize inside the portal, and that's probably their downfall at the moment, but it works perfectly. So there's, you know, the prettiness of it is a mind thing, I suppose, rather than a need.
Okay, thank you.
Question. Yes, it's still about Moxie, but it's more about logistics, which is I'm just trying to think about like client portals I've already got. Would you just keep the ones you've already got as they are, and then when you onboard new people, just onboard new to Moxie rather than shifting everything over?
Yeah, I guess especially if you've got an end point, so if the people that you've kind of got on Notion now are going to run out at some point, then I would say potentially keep them there rather than move everything over, and then start from new. But then I guess if you've got something on there for a long period of time and you've got time to move them over, it might be worth doing so.
Yeah, maybe I can do that.
Yeah, it might be worth just kind of letting them run through.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering about sorry, I've just seen Abby and it's now like I've been like, oh quick, I need to rush with my question, sorry, and I've just like blanked. Oh, and you said also Calendly, I wouldn't need to pay for Calendly.
No. So Moxie does everything that Calendly does. I know that Calendly free only allows you one meeting type. Moxie, you can have as many meeting types as you want. They can all be individual. They can all have different question forms attached to them if you want question forms. They can all have their own different individual availabilities. So it's not like a blanket availability that you kind of have to then block your calendar out for certain days to stop calls taking. It can be really specific with 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. If you are, say, going on holidays, well, I'm going on holiday next week, so at the end of this week I can go in and say do not take any calls before the 24th of March, and then it will just automatically block that time out without you having to go in and manually block that time out in your calendar.
Okay. Oh, so it's like a total no-brainer, because I already pay for Calendly, which is what, 12 quid.
Yeah.
Moxie's then what, 20 quid?
Yeah, £19 I think it comes out my account at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
And you don't need a DocuSign, you know, if you've got anything like an Asana or a ClickUp, or, you know, that replaces that too.
So I could just move that over and keep that all in one place, even though I've still got an e-signature. I know, me too, Rebecca. I know. Yeah,
it also
I know.
has the dashboard. So the home dashboard is like a focus dashboard, and it will have anything that's due today. So anybody, if you've set a reminder to speak to somebody, that would pop up. If you're using it for project management, any tasks due today would pop up. But you have today, tomorrow, this week and next week on your focus.
Amazing.
You also have a to-do list. So it's a really good just digital tick box list on the side. You know, if you're working and you go, oh God, I've got to get bread, you could literally just pop get bread. And if you can put a date on it, and if it goes overdue, it goes red and it sits at the top. So it's just a really good visual little to-do list on the side of there too, and it pulls in all of your schedule, so it can see what meetings, you know, at a glance you can see what meetings you've got coming up and what tasks you've got coming up for the day.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm in. Thanks. Is there a referral? Can you refer me?
Yes, we have got a referral code which will also give you a 30-day trial. So if
yeah, ping it over, because it looks like more than one of us will
keep
use
talking at me. I'm not looking at you, but I'll go and get that now and I'll pop it in the chat, because then you can all get 30 days instead of 14.
Oh, amazing. Perfect.
You a little bit more time to play with it. And one thing I will caveat, if you go in there and play and you don't sign up in time at the end of the 30 days, everything is kept. So you don't lose your data, you don't lose anything you've put in or anything you've created.
Okay.
Everything is held. You just won't have access, so that when you upgrade then to a paid account, everything will be as it was before. So I've had a few people panic, go, oh my God, I didn't sign up in time, is everything gone? And it's like, no, it's all still there for you. So please don't panic, don't sign up in time.
And I guess it integrates with Stripe as well, right?
Yeah, integrates with Stripe. You can also, what else does it integrate with? There are other payment processors on there. I think it integrates with PayPal if you want it to. I don't use any of the others. I've only used the Stripe one, but yeah, it integrates with Stripe. It integrates with Zoom or Google Meet. The other options you have when you book calls, you can actually do a physical call. So you can give them an option to phone if you want. You can put multiple. So if you wanted to, you could have Google Meet and Zoom and a phone call and an in-person. And then when you book, they would tick which one they wanted. And that would automatically create the link for the right scenario.
I'm wondering, because I get a lot of complaints because I use Zoom, but I'm wondering if I also do Teams, and then they can just decide which one they want to just show up on. Yeah.
So you would just link the different ones that you want to, and then they all become available. I've just popped that link in.
Thank you very much. And you've got more questions, Abby. Sorry.
Carry on.
That's all right. So I was just wondering, can you also make it link to I have made like some PDFs and things that I'm either going to house on my website, because I haven't decided whether they're going to be like free downloads or paid for, but can you link it so that like if they download something from my website, it'll then send them an email saying thanks for downloading this, would you also like to see that? Or is that something that comes directly from my website?
That would be from your website, so that would come from where you house that download. What you could potentially do if your website allows it is use a free Zapier account to zap that information to Moxie, and then it would almost take that person's information, drop it into Moxie for you as a prospect, and then that could set off an automation which would send an email. So it just depends which way is easier. You know, have you got a function in your website that will do that for you, or do you need an alternative way to send that message? But
Becky would know. I don't know.
Because I have it, I use ConvertKit for my email marketing. So if anybody books a call with me, Moxie sends the information to Kit and gives it a tag of call booked, so that I know that the people on my mailing list, if they've got the call book tag, they come from Moxie. But I could also, if I wanted to, do the reverse and have anybody that signed up on my mailing list sent to Moxie. I don't do that because I want to keep my Moxie prospects clean. I only want prospects in there. They're people that I've spoken to on LinkedIn or I've had a conversation with and I know are interested in working with me, as opposed to they've downloaded like a free lead magnet or they've just found my newsletter somewhere. So I try and keep Moxie quite clean, and then I use my email marketing to kind of blanket market to anybody that's kind of signed up for stuff.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem. Any more for any more? Do we need a Moxie session?
Can I ask, what's Moxie like for tutorials and things of how to actually use the site?
Brilliant. They've got a massive YouTube channel, absolutely huge, with everything you can think on it. I've also created about 12 how-to videos on like how to create a client, how to create a project, those kind of things that are walkthrough videos. But Moxie's own YouTube channel is great. I believe they also have an informal Facebook group that is quite big, and one of the girls out of the business group has used the Facebook group to put her Moxie together.
Super, because that's always an issue for me.
One thing I will say, and I know this probably isn't necessary now, but it's worth kind of popping in your head, is a pipeline to most people is a sales pipeline. So it's kind of the stages you go through to get a customer to buy. Do you know what I mean? Like you're kind of top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of, like getting people to buy. Within Moxie, the way I want you to think about your pipeline is the stages you take your client through. So think about your customer journey. So the beginning of that stage might be the call booking. The next stage might be onboarding. After that might be that you have a kickoff call. After that might be that you have a coaching call or you do something else. Because the different pipeline stages in Moxie are what allows you to then trigger automations. So if you think about when I onboard, I need to do X, Y, Z. So onboarding is the trigger to sending out certain things. Booking a kickoff call might be the trigger to sending them a link to book a kickoff call. So think about your pipeline as the stages you take your clients through from before you work together to offboarding, and build your pipeline that way instead of thinking about that pipeline as a sales pipeline. Does that make sense? So when you get in it, build it with your steps of work in mind as opposed to how to get somebody to buy, which is what a standard pipeline is normally, a kind of first call, second call, go through to salesman, call booked kind of situation. It's the stages that you take your clients through when you work with them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Can I just ask then, and I kind of was just processing that as you were saying it. So my question I put in the chat was about, does it act like a landing page then? So for example, at one of those stages, so you get the inquiry, you've had the chat, and then when they go through to book, can you put all the information of what it will look like that they're booking, and then they click buy? Do you know what I mean? Like a landing page about this is what we're going to go through. Can you
call booking?
Yeah, at like each stage maybe.
So Moxie is a back. So if you think about this as the back office of your business, so this is Moxie will do. It's the call scheduler. So it's a system your client will use to book a call and to let you know what that call looks like, when it's going to be, to put it in your calendar and to let you know if they've answered any questions beforehand. Then it will be the system that will send out the welcome email, and you build that email. So you build it as an email template and it automatically gets sent out with any information that you put in there. So what Moxie will do is streamline and automate the tasks that you would do behind the scenes in order to give your client everything it needs to become a client, to onboard, to set everything up that you need to set, to send their contracts and have them signed. And it does that in a way that makes it really easy for you, as automated as possible for you, but as slick and as, really like impressive as possible for the client, so that it's easy for them to sign a contract. They don't have to download a PDF and sign it and then find a scanner and scan it and upload it and email it back to you. It's kind of, they get sent the contract and they sign it, and they sign it digitally online. It comes back to you, they get a copy in their portal, you get a copy in your system. So it's the back office of your business. The only part that is front facing is your client portal. So you can't build landing pages on there. What you would need for landing pages is either your website or something like Kit, which is an email marketing tool that you can build landing pages on that kind of go through. So the website would be the front facing, and Moxie will be the back end of your system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, can I just ask then, so for example with me, once I've gone through the inquiry, we've agreed the booking, it's all paid for, my next step is and I've created on Canva like a question and answers, a how-to guide. So for example, like the things that they might need to get set up for the first online lesson, and it's like 4 pages long with everything they need. Would Moxie include that? Like, can I?
So you could add a link to that. If you've got that as a download, a PDF, or you've got it as a file somewhere, you could add that into your welcome email. So you would create an email that might be, oh my God, it was great to talk to you today. I'm so glad you're on board. Please find attached a PDF that will go through all of our next steps. And you would just attach that Canva document. So either a link to that document, or you like attach it within that email so it goes out. So it would be sent out in the same way as you would send it by email. Alternatively, you could send them to a landing page that's got all that information on. So you could say within that welcome email, click here to find out everything you need to know about what's going to happen next, and send them to a landing page on your website that has all that information on it. So that Canva document could be a landing page on your website, and you just send them there.
Would it be more beneficial, do you think, to have it on the website in terms of, maybe this is Becky question, but for then you're putting them back to your website?
Because then they're on your website, they're going to have a look at that next steps, and the chances are they're going to have a little poke around at everything else while they're there.
Okay.
And also, if you've got a website in that way, it's great to have a landing page with some testimonials and, you know, some about you. So maybe a little section about you, some testimonials, some social proof. And then when you have your call booking system, what you can do is when they finalize their call booking, instead of just getting a generic, your call is booked, it's in your calendar, you can send them to your about me social proof page on your website that I've got one, and it just goes, thank you for booking a call, can't wait to speak to you, Vicky. But then they're on my website, so at that point they just booked a call with me, but now they can have a mooch around and they can put my testimonials and they can find out more about me. So rather than a generic thanks for booking, I've got a thanks for booking page on my website that has just a little bit more information on it, and it's then a tool for them to go and have a mooch around on your website as well, find out more about you in the meantime.
So how would you do that? You'd create a landing page on your website and then put the link into the Moxie.
Yeah, that's it. So when you create your Moxie meeting scheduler, there's a box that says, what do you want to do after they've booked? Do you want to send them a generic default confirmation, or do you want to send them to a different URL? And you would just put your landing page URL instead. So when they book,
automatically,
yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
So, yeah, as soon as they click submit to the call, it pops up it takes them over to the landing page.
That's very cool. Thank you.
No problem. Louis here now. If you want to ask Louis any questions.
I have a feeling that's going to be the same answer for my question. Waiting lists.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about doing it like nice and easy. So I've actually just popped in a question. Vicky J has just said I could do it on MailerLite, like just a landing page with a MailerLite. But the answer you just gave to Jess is maybe I should pop them onto my website.
Potentially. I mean, I always think if you have a website that you are able to have any kind of, you've got your subscriber box on your website, you can have a similar one on a landing page. Yeah, use your website, but you can have a page that's got a different box on it that you just use for a waiting list, and then that tags those people as being on your waiting list. But at all times, you want to be sending people to your website.
Do you know what though? I'm a bit like Abby with MailerLite with my website, because I literally don't know how to use it, and sometimes I need a quick landing page.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating that I've got such a block with it that I either don't do it.
Yeah.
Or then I'm like, oh, I'll send it to Rebecca and Ted. I know, but then I'm like, oh, I have to. But then I can only I've just got this blocker around doing it basically, and if I want it in a minute, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to wait for a month.
Got a blocker, then I would say, sorry Becky, I would say just do it. What we've just talked about this weekend, in imperfect action is better than no action. So if
that's
it's
why I've been doing it.
quick, crappy landing page that has a purpose and it's going to work, that's what I do. But it doesn't really matter where you collect that information, as long as you know where you're collecting it and that you do something with it, as opposed to having somewhere that it's collecting and then you don't actually end up doing anything with it, and you've got this great of prospects that don't see the light of day.
Yeah, you're right. And I've been doing like landing pages on Notion, for example, then Thrivecart links, and that has been sufficing me for the last 3 months, right? Like that's literally it. When I want to move, I move, and that's how I do it. But yeah, there's a bigger picture behind it, which is obviously I need to use my website.
Yeah. And if you're using a kit or a MailerLite, it doesn't hurt to have just those generic list builders, which a waiting list is. It's just a list, it's a segment newsletter.
Exactly.
Just use them as list builders. So sign up here for the waiting list could just literally be put your name and your email address in here and you'll be on my waiting list block. And as long as you've got a tag link to it, which then puts it on your email list with a segment, then you can use it. What you don't want is email address floating around somewhere that you're never going to use.
No, agree. All right, thanks.
Any there any more? I haven't been checking the chat, which is terrible. Let me have a look. Are there any questions in the chat that I haven't answered? I would be more than happy though, Becky, if you want me to come back and do a Moxie like overview, a walkthrough, or you know, how to set up certain things. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Well, it's looking popular.
I do literally spend half my working life in Moxie, so it wouldn't hurt.
I think it would be really useful if everyone's saying yes, please. Like, it sounds brilliant, and it's that next step, as you were saying. Like, we do so much planning about the getting people to book the call, but not always thinking about what then. And it's really important because if you want the client to feel really welcomed and it to be easy and flowing. So perfect.
When I've had good onboarding sequences, I think we've all had it where you sign up for something and the email's just there and you're like, bloody hell, this is brilliant. That's what you want for your clients, isn't it? You want your clients to go, oh, this is going to be amazing. That first, the first touch point. But also it's like one of the biggest things I find that my clients are doing are they're having great conversations and then not doing anything with those conversations. So it's about having that CRM in place where you can make those notes and you can add a follow-up date and you can make sure you get back to these people, rather than the amount of business I've won just from following up, just from almost feel like you're being a bit of a pain, but follow up, because people are busy. It's not that they're not interested, it's just that maybe not now, or, they've got something else on their plate at the moment, or something else is going on. So having that CRM there that has not only your clients but the people that could be your clients in it, and keeping them front and center is super important.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Vicky.
No problem at all. But yeah, let's have a chat about getting some time booked in as quickly as you want, and I'll do a full walkthrough. I've got like a test account that we use for C2C, so I can take you in there without compromising anybody's details and show you how things work, and actually we can set up some clients and set up some automations, and you can kind of see it.
Thank you. Yeah, that'll be incredible. And also, I know you need to get going now.
He's here now.
He's here. Yeah.
He's in the dark.
He's hiding in the fire.
He's hiding from Miss Southall.
Love it. Oh, yeah, that's brilliant. And I'll make sure that I share the link with everybody.
Fabulous, yeah.
But yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Ahead of that next session, if people want to, like, I don't know, just screenshot the slide that's there or anything, so they can start thinking about all those different things, and the way that I always get my clients to look at it is, what does blue sky look like? If you could map out the perfect customer journey, what would it look like? Because I guarantee you can build it. You can build it. It's just how.
Yeah, I think this will definitely help. So yeah, brilliant. All right, I will leave you to get everyone home and fed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vicky. That was awesome. Fab to see you.
And anybody else, if you have any questions, find me on LinkedIn, put me a question. I'm always happy to answer.
So kind. You mean she means that as well?
I do mean it. Always.
Amazing.
Fab.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening and great week off next week.
Amazing. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.